Welcome to our podcast and strap in for Movie Monday. Hi, I'm Minky Madison.
And I'm Jack Green.
Today on Movie Monday, we discuss the horror anthology Deadtime Stories Part 2, which has another set of 3 short films. I gave it a rating of 2 kernels. What did you give it?
I also gave it 2 kernels.
Oh, look at that. Okay, stop and watch the movie first now, or strap in for major spoilers. I actually don't have a favorite line for everything this time, which is kind of shocking for me, but I don't. Do you have a favorite line for the whole film?
No, I don't either.
So the first movie was The Gorge. Do you want to start?
Sure, I'll start with The Gorge. I did not have really praise for it because I didn't like it, but it was a solid attempt at telling a story. So the story is kind of fun in a way, I guess, if you like that type of horror.
Hmm.
Um, but if you want, I'll just get round to my problems with it.
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
So I thought the characters acted in unintelligent ways. Such as when they were entering the cavern, they threw a flare down. Then they turn the flare off immediately as soon as everyone's down in a super dark tunnel. And I just thought that was like a waste, like, because I don't know
Yeah.
much about flares, but it seems like a waste to, I don't know, put it down, I guess. Save your batteries basically for your flashlights and just let the flare burn because it's a legitimate light
Yeah.
source.
You know, I don't know much about flares either. I wonder if you can reuse flares. Probably not, though, huh?
I don't know. That's a good point. I don't really know enough about them, but it just, like I said, based on what I knew, it's a one-time use item. It just felt like it was a waste. It's like having a match or a candle and just like putting it out
Hmm.
so you can use your flashlight. But in their defense,
Yeah,
they went down there, they didn't expect to be down there a super long time.
that's true.
So,
Yeah.
so that was one. And then they showed them eating throughout this excavation or whatever you want to call it, but they never drank any water. And I don't know if you noticed or not.
Yes.
And water is more important than food. So it was really funny to me. They just completely don't show them drinking any water. And then, of course, they get stranded down there and trapped. And he grabs a bat very easily, just like grabs it right off the wall and like starts munching on it. It would seem like it would be difficult to catch that, or at least not as easy as that. It's just to pick it up.
Yeah, you're right. That's funny. He did it like he had caught a million bats in the past or something. Like this wasn't his first time trapped in a mine. That was
Yeah,
funny.
that was a problem with the characters. Really, it didn't seem unusual for them. They seemed to be upset, but they didn't
Hmm.
seem panicky in a way you would imagine they would be. A white
Yeah.
mouse comes along. So this is an underground cave, but it's like a really clean white mouse. And I thought that was funny too because it's like something you got out of a lab and just like stuck down there or something.
That's hilarious. I didn't even think about that, but I guess a mouse in a mine would probably be dirtier. That's funny.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't be crystal clear white fur and everything. Like it was fresh.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was just bizarre. And it just didn't feel authentic, I guess. And maybe it wasn't trying to be, I suppose. And it kind of turned my stomach. It was a little too graphic, but that's not really a con. I guess maybe it just wasn't a good film for me. And
Yeah, it was pretty gory in places.
yeah, I do like at the end how she went back into the caves and basically became a cave monster. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like an origin story. If they did a sequel, that could be the origin story for like a part two where people encounter a cave monster and wonder how it got that way.
Yeah, I did like the ending.
Yeah, so that was good. But yeah, that's pretty much what I had for. What is your pros and cons?
Okay, so first I want to say about the whole thing. I was expecting it to be another hilarious set of B movies like the previous one.
Uh,
So I was kind of disappointed altogether because although there were a couple things that were kind of funny, it obviously wasn't to the same level as the other one,
yeah,
how funny it was. And, and that was what I was looking forward to. So, because instead they were pretty gross and mediocre drama horrors, which I wasn't expecting. So I probably liked these less than I would have if I wasn't expecting it to be funny again. Anyway, my cons. I'll start with my cons since you did your cons there. The flashback at the very beginning already showed what was to come. That one of them gets trapped under a rock collapse, and I thought that was nuts because it ruined any mystery moving forward.
Yeah.
Because when it finally happens and he gets hurt, you're like, well, it's about time. Now we're finally going to get the movie going. You know what I mean? Because it already spoiled that, which if you're in a mine, I mean, what else can really happen other than you get like trapped and stuff? But still, I just thought that was weird that they would show that and then have it really boring leading up to what you just saw already. You know what I mean? It just didn't make sense.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
yeah. And then it's funny, like, I didn't even think about how fast he caught the bat, but my note here was I don't think they would be biting into live bats. You know, he just bit its head off, I think, without first killing it and frying it. They had fire down there. So I don't understand why they felt the need to just like hardcore, you know what I mean? Like consume it raw like that alive.
Yeah, I agree. And bats
Because I
carry a
don't,
lot of disease, so
yeah. And I think at that point they weren't even down there that long. So I don't think they totally lost their minds yet at that point. Maybe I'm wrong on the timing of that, but it just seemed odd.
I agree. It's hard to tell time down there, I would imagine. So,
Yeah,
um,
that's
but they
true.
didn't give the audience an indication either. So,
Well, they did actually, they had a day ticker that they would show on the screen, but the characters obviously don't know that. It had day 45, day, whatever, you know what I
oh,
mean, on
okay.
the,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It was just weird. And then my note was also about the water. I put, they didn't seem to explain how they lasted so long without any water. And I was like, maybe missed finding a stream or something, but you noted that too. So they really must not have done anything with water, which is bizarre because, like you said, that's more important than food.
Yeah, they would have lasted, a week, probably less. You really
Yeah.
need like you can go weeks and months without food, but not water.
But yeah, my only thinking is by eating live bats like that, maybe the blood that they're getting suffices. I don't know how your body works exactly. Maybe that, I don't know. It was just weird though. And then another thing I thought was odd was how would the authorities not have found her boyfriend's body once they were discovered? Because they couldn't have eaten his bones. And there was blood everywhere. Like it was covered in blood. And they didn't explain that. I'm pretty sure that when they found them, they would have looked in there, right? You would think that they would go in and inspect things.
Yeah, I had a problem with that too. It just, first of all, it appeared like they ate the whole body except for the bones, and then they hid the bones between rocks and everything. But when you're consuming a corpse, I don't think you would eat everything. I don't think it's possible to eat everything. Like you
Yeah.
don't eat all the organs, and you don't eat connective tissues and everything like that. Of course, I wouldn't know, but this is just my speculation.
Yeah. And I don't understand how they would explain him away anyway, because he obviously was with them.
Yeah,
So I don't, they didn't talk about that enough. Like, what was their reason that he wasn't there? Because you would think that they would keep looking for him and then find his, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. They didn't explain it. It was bizarre.
yeah, they didn't. The only thing I can think of is maybe it was just a really dangerous area to be in, so they weren't going to go down in there after the other people had gotten trapped.
Yeah, that could
So
be.
maybe they were going to find out later when they did an actual proper investigation. That is strange that they're covered in blood. I don't know, like, do they accuse you of eating other people? Is that a crime in that
Well,
situation?
well, because, okay, they don't have cuts and stuff to match all the blood they're wearing, right? So I think they would have some questions for them. It seemed like the police all just accepted their story right off for some reason.
Can you get charged with? I mean, is that murder? Like, if people were to do that, because it's an extraordinary situation to be in. So it's not like premeditated murder, but it is manslaughter in a way, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to say that it is because I think he was still alive when they were eating him. If he completely died on his own and then they ate him, I don't think it's really a problem at that point because he's already dead. It's not like they did it, but I think they actually killed him.
Yeah, I like how they were taking a little bit more and more of his leg. Well, we'll take a little bit more here and he
Yeah.
won't notice. Then they eventually get to the point where they eat his entire body and they go, "What did we do? What did we do?" I don't know. I just found that to be
Yeah.
more comical than upsetting. If you're supposed to do
Hmm.
that, you would have to know what you're doing. Like, so I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I said, the whole thing was just fell flat in a way. It was funny.
My last con was the story itself wasn't bad, but it was really boring. I feel like they could have cut a lot more, and then that's my biggest problem, I think, with most boring films, is if they had cut more, I think I would like them. There's just so many parts that are drawn out for no reason
Hmm.
that make it boring
Yeah,
to
I
me.
agree.
So that was the case.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do have pros
Uh
for
oh.
it. So one you actually just mentioned. To me, it had some good suspense and disgustingly horrifying moments. Like the part you're talking about when they take an extra few inches off of her boyfriend's gangrene leg
Uh-huh.
amputation to eat. And later, when they end up eating most of his body, and the girlfriend has that moment of realization, like you're saying, where she was screaming, "What did we do?" Because it's like she's going in and out of psychosis, kind of
Hmm.
crazy. And it was intense. You wonder if that would actually be the case ever for someone where they would do that and then like regret it in the moment, like how she did. And I hope if I'm ever in that situation, I wouldn't resort to eating my boyfriend who's still alive to survive myself because that's some up
Yeah, they were
shit.
supposed to get married and everything, so
Yeah,
I don't know. It was just very strange. Maybe if they had been married 20 years, she would have been like, "Yes, I'll eat you," and not even feel bad about it.
she's the one suggesting it
Yeah.
instead.
So, but no, I agree. I guess that those are praise. I didn't really look at that because I guess because it made me laugh.
Yeah, it's not necessarily that it was good. It was just that it was more of an intense moment where you
It's not
do
boring.
see emotion in the character and that type of thing. You know what I mean? And it was
Yeah,
funny.
agree on that though.
I also like the blaring Rocky music in the beginning when they're driving to the mine because it was super out of place. To me, it was just not intense that they're driving to a mine. So it just made me laugh. And on day two, when they're screaming help, was kind of funny to me because it's not like there's people that live in the mine and are on the ready to rescue
Mm-hmm.
them. So, I mean, I would probably do the same thing, but it just made me laugh.
Hell.
Yeah. And then the ending was okay, where she kind of goes nuts and cuts her own tongue with the scalpel and eats her
Mm-hmm.
friend who was egging her on in the first place. And then I thought it was interesting that she carried his body with her to the cave. I don't know why. Like she was bringing a snack, I guess. And then I like that she's basically a mind ghoul now and attacks that family that came
Yeah,
in.
I like how she
So
polished them off in the hospital. Like it seems like it would take a while to eat someone, at least to that degree. But she, like in the cave, they had unlimited time.
she's a speed eater.
But apparently, the nurses don't stop in very
Yeah.
often to their rooms, so she could polish off a whole human.
Yeah, 'cause she did eat it really fast. Oh, you know what? I think she only took his head with
Yeah,
her.
like she really
I
polished
don't
him
remember
off.
now. But she took something with her in the car of him.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add on that
No,
one?
it was pretty simplistic.
So the second movie is On Sabbath Hill.
Yeah.
I do actually have a favorite line for this
Okay.
one. When Richard's going into the
Hmm.
school, there's a teacher there, and he's like, "How about a run later, Dickie boy?" And then Richard's like, "Can't, I'm all tied up." And then the other teacher says, "You're just afraid I'll kick your butt." And then Richard says,
Yeah.
"Language," like implying the word butt was language. I thought that was ridiculous. And it was to another teacher. Like, I think it was his way of joking, but it was not done in a joking way, so that made me laugh.
Yeah. I definitely recall that line, and I thought it was interesting because it kind of has to do with the teacher's character. We'll get into that. But I didn't have any favorite lines.
Okay, and I have another one.
Okay.
When Richard says, if history is hearsay filled with interpretation, is it truth? And if every man has secrets he can't admit even to himself, is autobiography possible? Because we had talked about that a little bit ourselves recently.
Yeah.
Because if history is biased and hearsay, it's hard to know to some degree what is and isn't fact, or at least a lot of the details of it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. This is one of the deeper stories, I think. I like when he talked about Commodus and how
Mhm.
that was his character as this really bad guy, right? He's done terrible things, but then he's also a man of weakness, and temptation. And he was like who tempted him into becoming this way. So it was interesting. It's actually a deeper story here.
Yeah.
So did you want to go into your prose?
Okay. So I liked the good violin instrumental music that was throughout. And I thought it was funny that the CD he puts in is the intense music we've been listening to the whole
Yeah.
time. And I thought it was kind of neat when they did that cutaway with the blonde in her room with the music box, and the music box was playing that music, but it was like a
Yep, I
softer.
actually have that in my notes. Same.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, it really was. Same song, different tempo. So it was kind of symbolic of their relationship. They were both experiencing
Mm-hmm.
the same thing in a different way. His was a superficial, surface way, all about pleasure and weakness. Hers was more of a sweet melody.
Mm-hmm.
And that sweet
Yeah, it was
melody
really
kind of
cool.
turns dark, obviously, as you go through the story and see what happens to them. So yeah, that was
Right.
one of mine as well.
And then, like you were saying about Commodus, the intentional irony of Richard teaching philosophy of Commodus and how he succumbed to pleasures while he's doing the same thing by having sex with his
Yeah,
students.
that's directly
So
related to his character,
I
where
thought,
he's this very harsh teacher,
yeah.
and then this very weak character, weak man beneath this austere professional teacher. So yeah, that was cool. The
Hmm.
dynamics of that.
And then, while still in bed, right after having sex with the blonde, he was like a bit less enthusiastic than usual. And she's like, I'm pregnant. And then he's like, whose is it? That made me laugh so hard because I guess it's possible she was with other guys, but that's just funny that that's the first thing you say. Whose is it after you just had sex with her and like you've been having sex with her? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah,
It
he
just
was a
cracks
real
me up.
character.
And she's like, I've only been. Yeah. Maybe it was the way he said it, not necessarily what he
Yeah, it was
said.
definitely
You know
the
what I mean?
timing was very
Yeah.
poor timing.
Yeah, exactly. Besides the fact, I'm pretty sure if it wasn't his, she would be telling that guy, not him.
Yeah, I suppose so. It depends. We're dropped into the story with these two characters, with the innocent young girl and the horrible professor, but we don't know their characters really. We get to know his far more than we get to know hers. So, like I said, maybe he was thinking he's protecting everything he's built, and that's kind of what he alluded to. He was implying that she slept around and maybe was trying to pin the child on him because it would have a better life. So
That's true.
that might have
Yeah, I
been
didn't think
where
about
he
that.
was coming from, but she seemed to be innocent from what we could tell as we go through the film. So he was just a really bad guy, basically.
Yeah, that's funny though. I didn't think about her like lying about it so he'd take care of the
Yeah,
kid.
because maybe, like I said, he said there was that guy from high school, and she was like, "Yeah, that was high school though." So we don't know if this was freshman year of
Hmm.
college or sophomore, junior, senior year. If it was freshman year, then high school might have been only been a year ago. But still, finished your prose.
No, so the giving birth in class was really gross, but it was also kind of funny because the hands all reaching out. I don't know. It was
Yeah, that really
different.
was. I agree.
And then another pro of mine was her killing herself in the middle of the classroom because it was intense, and then her blood splattered on the other girl he's having sex with, right in her face. Like, like her blood basically splashed her entire face.
Wait, you said the blood went
So that
on
made
to
me
someone.
laugh. Yeah, when she kills herself, she's right in front of that other girl he has sex with, too, the other one, and her blood sprays. Her face is covered. Like the other girl's face
I
is
didn't think
entirely
he slept
covered
with
in
more than
blood.
one girl. I thought about that because it did look similar to one girl in
What?
class, but I was thinking it was his wife, but I guess not.
No. Yeah, he had.
Well, it
That's
doesn't
so funny.
really give you any
Yeah, no.
indication of that except just seeing them in bed together, right? Well,
They
they had
also
that
have
one conversation, yeah,
conversations
about the gun, but that's
about.
it. And so it's not like they're flirting or.
I don't know. To me, it wasn't a mystery. They had them having sex a bunch. They had her in a lot of the scenes where they're discussing different things about. The wife was there too, but I don't think they ever actually had sex. Maybe they did. But I promise you, he had sex with that brunette girl too. And she's the one that, when the blonde kills herself, gets
Oh
blood
no,
all
I
over her face,
remember
and that made
everything
me
about
laugh.
her. I just the only indication of them having a relationship was one conversation where she has a gun and a diary from Allison Knowles, and that's it. So I think I might have saw them just laying next to each other in bed, but I thought that might have been his wife because I didn't get a good look at her. But maybe we watched a different movie because I don't remember anything else going on between them.
I'm like 100% they were having sex too. But I don't remember now how much they showed. Maybe it just showed them in bed, but that's enough. You're not going to be in bed with a student like that if you didn't
No,
have
no,
sex.
that
Like, it
I'm
doesn't
not
make any sense.
contradicting that because I
So maybe
did
they
see
just.
it. But I guess what doesn't make sense to me is there was no lead up to it. There was no talk about it. They talk about a gun in the diary, and they also have a fleeting image of them laying next to each other in bed, which was bizarre and felt out of place.
I could be wrong, but I think they had sex multiple times. Like, I think it showed a few times because this particular one was pretty long.
Yeah.
And so my guess was he was having sex with both. He was having sex with the
Oh,
blonde
yeah.
and
I can
her
believe it.
at the same time, different days.
You'll have to show me because I do not recall any
Okay,
of that.
yeah. And maybe I'm wrong. That's funny. Well, it's possible you missed it, or it's possible that I'm dreaming things up. I don't know. I just. Anyway, let me see what else I got here. I like how he killed himself in front of the class
Hmm.
too, because it's not like they need trauma. And how he was terrible all the way up to the end, because he only did it because he was being tormented by her ghost, not because he felt bad and was genuinely sorry. He was just evil all the way to the end.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had motivations to protect his family, and everything he had built. It shared a lot of time with him by himself. staring at the journal, staring at the gun, sitting by a window and looking out. So it didn't really give you a deep dive into what he was thinking mentally and emotionally. I would like to think that there's some room there for
Well,
guilt.
what indicates to me that he's not sorry is because he's still having sex with that girl. Like you just watched a student kill herself because of you, and you're still sleeping with this other girl that's underage. Like to me, that shows that you're not
Well, I
sorry at
agree
all.
with that. I'm saying, but I don't recall that happening except one fleeting scene that I mistakenly thought that was his wife because they were just laying next to each other. So yeah, in that context, if that's true, then it doesn't seem like he really had any remorse.
Yeah, we can definitely check and verify that
Okay.
because that was actually one of my cons. Because I put it's a bit odd he'd immediately have sex with another student after the blonde just confirmed she's pregnant with his baby, and then
Yeah, that's such a mystery.
because I think it's even before she kills herself. Basically, she says she's pregnant, and then I think the next scene almost is him in bed with that other girl. So that just seemed like I don't know, unrealistic. I think in real life, if someone was sleeping with a student and then they found out the student's pregnant and they're married and everything, that they wouldn't be so quick to go have sex with another girl who also might get pregnant. You know, it
Yeah,
just
and their
seemed odd.
conversation, his conversation with the brunette-haired girl didn't talk about them at all. It was just saying she dated a guy, he gave her this gun. She's friends with Allison, they're good friends, you know. She gives him her journal and says she made a copy of it. Like, there's no talk about their relationship. It was almost as if they didn't even have one. She calls him on a phone and says, "Can you come over?" So that's why I didn't think there was anything going on between them.
Well, we can verify it.
It's not a big deal. It's just yeah, a big mystery to me. I'd like to figure out what went on there because I do agree with.
Well, the reason I want to do it now, because I would like to update with what we find. Because if I'm wrong and that's not the case, then it
Well, no,
changes
I did
things.
see them in bed together. I was just saying all the other scenes doesn't make sense because I do recall seeing them laying next to in bed to each other, but and I couldn't figure out what that was about. But they were obviously sleeping together, but their conversations that they had didn't line up with that. So I don't know what that was all about. I guess just poor dialogue and poor cinematography. You mean,
Well, I don't think, I mean, if you're having sex with someone, you probably don't talk about it nonstop, especially when it's a student, because, like with the blonde, apart from them talking about the pregnancy in bed, they don't talk about the relationship either. You know what I mean? So I don't know. To me, it wasn't that strange that they wouldn't be talking about it, but I don't know.
all right. Do you still more pros?
I was on my cons
Okay.
actually, and I have one left.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. To me, the story wasn't too bad, but again, my main con is that it was pretty boring most of the time, and there's a lot that could have been cut. There was a lot of draggy scenes for no reason. And I just think if they had a better editor, that it would have been more enjoyable because it wasn't all bad. It just there was so much about it that was that I can't say I liked it.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was it.
So you want me to go into my pros and cons? Yeah, I
For
haven't went into
yes.
them yet for this actually. Some of them are similar to yours. I think there was a lot of scenes to this, and it was long because there's a lot of metaphor and symbology, such as the music box and the CD he plays in his car. And there's a lot of cinematography of him walking around and there being lines and him crossing the lines because he crossed the line by being involved with a student and while he was married. One of him is walking down a hallway. He walked into like a pool room where there was a pool and on the wall it said prohibited and he's crossing lines there, like physically crossing actual lines on the floor.
Oh, that's
So in
funny.
this
I didn't
film,
think
there's a
about
lot more
that.
to it, and I think it would appear boring to someone who wasn't noticing stuff like that. Like I said, maybe it could also be just the audience or me reading too much into it, because that happens as well, where it's not an actual goal, of the filmmaker to put that in there. They're just trying to drag something out, maybe.
Well, even so though, I feel like they did way more of that than they needed. Was it not
Well,
boring
I
to you at
liked it,
all?
but but I can appreciate why it would be boring.
So it wasn't
No,
boring
I
to you at
liked
all?
it, but there's a tandem swing that Allison is sitting on before class, before she goes in and shoots herself. And the swing
Mm-hmm.
later on is still moving back and forth, kind of like a ghost, given the idea that Allison hasn't departed, even though she's physically not here anymore. And I think that the swing was also a metaphor for their relationship, because usually it's a tandem swing, so there's two people, and it creates the motion back and forth. And she's on there by herself swinging, so it was kind of like the relationship now that she's alone, she's getting out of control. Because he's gone. So she's emotionally volatile. under these circumstances. I think that was a good metaphor as well. So I like the metaphors and I like the characters. I do like the baby scene as well, where his hand comes out, which was odd. I don't know, with the baby coming out, you
Hmm.
wouldn't think you would see one hand. You would either see 2 feet or two hands. But somehow it's like sideways and a baby's hand comes out. So I don't know, it's just funny. I don't know like how that would look, like coming out of a person sideways. So that was funny. But yeah, and I like that you brought up he was sleeping with other students because I didn't pick up on that for whatever reason. But that definitely casts the story in a different light. It explains why she didn't turn him in.
Explain why. Who? What? What do you mean?
Well, the police are doing an investigation, and the brunette girl picks up the gun. And we know that she would probably pick that up because it was an illegal gun that she shouldn't have had. She could have got into a lot of trouble. And we know she didn't turn the professor in on his relations with the other student.
I don't think she knew that the teacher was having sex with the blonde as well. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think she knew that.
Oh, I thought it kind of implied that Allison had written in her journal about this whole incident, and the brunette made a point of saying she had copied her journal. So I'm sure she read it if she copied it. So therefore, she knows that something's going on with her and the professor.
Huh, I'm not sure on that. I don't know. I got the impression that the brunette did not know, but maybe she did later on then. I don't know.
Well, yeah, like if she didn't, why did she make a point of saying she copied the journal and then give him the journal? Like, what would be her motivation in that? So yeah, I just felt like she obviously picked up the gun because she didn't want to get in trouble for that. Because she said a guy had given it to her, and then she said she gave him the journal, which I don't know why she did that and why she made a copy of it. I can only interpret that she read it and knew something was going on, and she maybe was. She said they were good friends, so maybe she wanted to turn him in, but she felt like she couldn't.
I seriously think we should watch it again. We can skip around, like, some of the stuff we already know where it's going. Confirm whether she was having sex with the brunette, whether she read the journal and knew. You know what I mean?
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Hello.
Hello.
So yeah, I stand corrected. You were totally right. What made me think it was her is I don't know if you noticed, but the wife and her look very similar. Her and the
They,
brunette.
they really do.
Yeah, and because I was half enjoying it, I wasn't paying attention as much as I should have because I thought that was that girl. And then the very next scene, it shows her looking in the mirror like she was like getting cleaned up or whatever. So I assumed that they had sex. So I thought, so the whole time I'm watching it, I'm thinking that she had sex with the teacher too, and so she's kind of like upset. Like some of it was tension because you know what I mean. I don't know. I took it totally different because I was wrong. But yeah, you're right. He only slept with the blonde girl.
Yeah, you had me guessing too, just because they do look very similar. So when you said that, I was like, maybe I totally missed that. And I was like, why didn't she turn him in? I knew the gun was one reason, because she didn't want to get in trouble
Yeah.
connected with the illegal gun. And I guess maybe that's why she gave him the journal, because it's like a peacekeeping. Like she's like, I'm not going to turn you in with the journal, so here it is, and you're not
Hmm.
the gun.
Yeah, exactly. You're totally right. Because I skipped over to that part too, and she did read the whole journal and gave it to him, and so she does know that they were sleeping together, and it didn't matter that that wasn't the problem because they weren't sleeping together, but she knows what was going on with them and why she killed herself and that type of thing. So yeah,
That makes sense.
I still
All
don't
right.
think he was sorry though. I think he was only sorry because it was affecting him personally. Like he was having these nightmares of her everywhere.
You don't think he cared about her at all? It was just the inconvenience she'd had that happen.
I don't know that he didn't care about her at all, but I know that he wasn't very remorseful about the situation. In my opinion, of course. I did not get that he was very sorry about it. I didn't get the impression that he cared very much. It was more of a problem. Because he only kills himself when she's tormenting him. If he felt that bad, then right after she died, he would have been sorry and upset. But no, he went about his life like normal. You know what I
Do
mean?
you do you think this was all in his head, or do you think legitimately was being haunted by an actual ghost?
I think I don't know, to be honest. I think the movie was trying to make it more so like he really was being haunted by her, but it could be
Hmm.
easily argued that it wasn't his mind because no one else saw her. It's not like the whole class was watching her give birth or something.
I
Um,
don't even know if they saw the door open to the classroom. It didn't really make it clear that they noticed that. I don't believe.
oh
Um,
yeah,
because if that did happen, then maybe there is a haunting. But I guess unless they had a loose door or something that comes open, and he
yeah.
assumed. But we're led to believe the door's normal, and all of a sudden, after her death, it starts to open mysteriously on its own, and the papers on the wall flutter by an unseen wind. I think it's still kind of up in the air on whether or not he was legitimately being haunted or tortured by his own guilt. Um,
Yeah, that's true. They must have left it up to interpretation because I don't think they gave a solid answer on that.
yeah. So, has this revelation affected your score or what you think of the film?
No, because it was so boring to me. And I looked at the pool part that you're talking about, and I don't see lines on the ground, so I didn't. I think symbolism, metaphor type thing is interesting, but I think to me, it just wasn't enough to keep my attention personally. So I can understand how
Yeah.
people can appreciate that. I guess for me, it just didn't work.
Oh, okay. Well, I can go back through and show you the lines. It's not just in the pool. Did you see on the wall it said prohibited?
No.
Okay, so yeah, in the pool room it says prohibited on the wall. There's lines on the bottom of the pool, and water is often represented as emotions symbolically. So, like I
I
said, it
see.
could be just be reaching, but
Well, I think what you're saying makes sense, and at least it gives it a reason, because otherwise he's just walking around a pool for no reason. So you're probably right. You're probably right that they were adding some symbolism. But for me, it was I would rather get to the point of the story rather than like him dancing around a pool for an hour. Like, not that it was that long, but I don't know. I guess I've seen movies where I really like how they do metaphoric things, and this one was just for me personally. I would rather them cut that and get to the point. I think it was just because I wasn't enjoying it very much to begin with. So that's just on me. It just wasn't for me.
yeah, I can definitely understand that. I remember I was at the movies with a friend, and we went to see Devil, and the opening shot of Devil is upside down. It's done upside down with a camera overlooking a city, and it plays menacing music as it closes in on a building. And I said that was symbolic of how the devil views the world and how the devil sees everything backwards, because he's the opposite of truth, meaning he
Hmm.
lies. And my friend just said, I think the cameraman just thought that was a cool shot to take it upside down. So, um,
That's funny.
so there's always open interpretation. That's what
Yeah,
that's about. So I could be wrong.
that's true. And it could be both. It could be a subconscious metaphor, even without them even knowing. Who knows? It doesn't really matter as long as you're getting something out of it. That's what matters. So if like whether their
Yeah,
intention was that or not, if it means something to you and it works really well, then they did their job.
yeah. I mean, seeing meaning in a movie is only going to make your experience better if you're attuned to that. You're going to
Yeah,
appreciate it more because there's more there for you.
exactly.
So you're really helping yourself, I guess, in that way. You're not going to be as bored as
Yeah.
another person.
I'm glad you paid attention better than I did because I 100% thought it was that brunette girl. I was like zero doubts on it even. And then I saw it and I was like, holy shit, he's right. Like, why does the mom look so close to the other girl? I hate when they do that in movies. Everyone needs to be very distinct looking. It's not fair.
And it was funny because they're both really different types of women. So, like, at that point, he's just sleeping with all different types. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's like a blonde, and she looks very different than the other brunette.
Yeah.
So it's just funny that's why it's just like, surely he wouldn't go, they don't go for all these different types of women, but maybe he does.
Well, if his wife and the brunette looks the same,
Ah, you have a point there, yeah.
yeah. But I never got that how someone has like a specific type because I like everyone.
I guess.
Like, no, I'm just saying, like, I don't have one specific, like, I only like guys with brown hair, and you know what I mean? That's just, for at least me personally, that's not how I am. I don't have
Well, he
the
seems
type.
more of like a chauvinist guy, talking about
Yeah,
Hitler and communists. Maybe he does have a Nazi type preference for women.
that'd be nice.
Yeah. So yeah, then they had the next film, Dust, right? Is the next
Mhm.
story. I thought it was kind of funny, the film. It definitely wasn't a favorite. I felt like it was kind of draggy and boring. It's a very generic, bland science fiction story about dust, Martian dust, that somehow sexualizes whoever they inhabit and brings them back to life like a zombie.
Mhm.
It was pretty base, but the characters seem, especially the husband, they seem dumb. Like they don't make good decisions. Um, and you could
Idiots,
see
a
what,
lot of them.
yeah, you could see it coming from a mile away. And I like how the doctor, your first scene of the dust is him listening to it talk with like a microphone. I don't know, it's just funny, like the dust whispers. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was just very generic, so I'm not a big fan of that one. What do you think?
Were those all your cons?
Yeah, pretty much. It was mostly cons, but there was, I guess, the
Yeah.
only pros I would say is the humor of it, and it kind of does go throughout the story. There's a sense of humor as he's like lubricating
Hmm.
himself and his wife's screaming for more sex and
Yeah.
um so I don't know. It's very Homer Simpson.
Homer Simpson. My points are very similar to yours. So, like you were saying, I put the plot was pretty obvious from the beginning. So it was more just watching it play out. And again, really boring. And what I thought was the funniest was the song when he's having sex with his wife for the first time after a while. Did you notice the lyrics of that? Because that was cracking me up.
I don't know. I don't believe I did.
Okay, so the lyrics for it was part of the lyrics, they're all pretty funny, but was if I could meet you, you'd know how I take my coffee. And I thought that was just super bizarre because they're married. They obviously know each other. Like they've been seem to be married a long time. And that's
Hmm.
the song they choose to play like when they get to have sex. And if I could meet you, you'd know how I take my coffee. It was just super bizarre to me, so it made me laugh.
Yeah, that's very odd.
Yeah, and then also for some reason it gave me the impression that he only wanted her better so they could have sex, which I'm sure is not the case, but that's how it seemed to come across because he became like a sex fiend, remember? And he was just like, "We gotta have more dust. We gotta have more dust now." I don't
Well,
know.
I interpreted it as he wanted to keep her alive because she was getting sick again. He just wanted her better, but she was the one that
Well,
needed
yeah,
it.
she was definitely the one more so. That's why she ends up cheating on him and everything with that other guy and everything. But still, I felt like, and maybe I'm just reading into it. But anyways, and then my pros, my pros are dumb, but the sand from Mars was kind of neat looking. I just liked how it, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was amazing, but I mean, of the choices there, it was kind of neat. And then my only other pro was when he hits the scientist with a brick and one of his eyes comes clean out
Yeah.
onto the floor, because that would
Yeah.
never happen. You can't hit
No.
someone in the eye with a brick and your eye just cleanly comes out onto the floor. Like it didn't make any sense, but it was really funny.
Yeah, that
And that's it.
was really goofy. I mean, I think in order to have that happen, you would have to beat someone so hard that it actually fractures their skull and the occipital bone around the eye, and for the actually like start falling out.
Yeah.
But they have to like one clean kick to the back of the head, and your eyes just pop out. So
Yeah, and that's what's even funnier. I don't even think it was, I could be wrong here, but I don't even think they hit him in the back of the head. I think it was like hit him straight in the eye with the brick and then it came out. Like, if anything, he would be shoving it further in. Like, it made no sense.
yeah, it was just goofy, and their relationship, the scientist and the security guard, was just bizarre. They would never share information like that.
Yeah, that's a
He
good
starts
point.
out with, "Can I trust you?" Well, no, because he's a security guard. He's not a colleague. So it's just bizarre, like that he would even question that.
Yeah,
They could have made him a janitor for that matter. Can I trust you? Well, I just mopped the floors here, but like I don't know, it's bizarre. And
yeah.
he had a tiny microphone that he listened to the dust with, and it's like I don't know what kind of science that would be. Normally, you would want to like find out what the dust is, look at it with a microscope, stuff like that, not listen to it.
What if it was singing beautiful music, though?
It must have been. He spent a lot of time listening versus doing anything else with it. So,
That's
I
true.
mean, you do if you find a sample of something, is the first thing you do get a microphone and want to hear it? I don't know. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know if they would, because it's a substance that they don't quite understand. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, the fact that he needed a microphone implies that it can't be heard by human ears. What doesn't make sense is that's the first thing he chooses to do is try to listen to something.
Well, maybe it's like Horton hears a who, and they're each individual grain of sand is a person, or each individual grain of sand is a whole world,
Yeah,
and he's trying
I
to hear
mean,
them be like, "We are here, we are here, we are here."
they need a little more exposition, in that story. Some context would be nice. Instead of just some random scientist, like, we got some Mars dust and I've been listening to it and it can heal
I've been
people probably.
listening to
So,
it.
and Alex says, "Do you want to hear this?" And he's like, "I don't hear anything." And it's like, what?
Maybe the dust is actually the real artist of Another One Bites the Dust.
And they live near a graveyard, remember? And all the zombies come. Very fantastical.
Yeah. Although if you think about, well, other than the second movie, the first one was pretty fantastical too. I don't think that's how you turn into a mind ghoul, but maybe I'm
Yes, I don't think it works that way, thankfully. Or
Yeah.
a lot of people would become ghouls that just live in caves and near the
Yeah,
ground. So
exactly.
they liked it a little too much and too quick. Well, I ate a leg once. now I've been hooked on it ever since. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense. You would think you would eat it, right? And you would throw up, but apparently they didn't. Good for their digestion.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you were locked somewhere and you had to eat a person, would you not throw up, or would you be like, well, that tastes good? You know, like, you can go take a nap. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think I would, I don't think I would react that way. But I haven't been starving in a mine for 40 days or whatever it was.
Yeah, I don't, maybe that's an area of research I can look into. Like, cannibalism, do people actually like it? Like, I don't know, I don't think they do.
You know what I don't understand either?
Hmm?
Is there was obviously other creatures in there, right? Like they found a bat and a mouse, and like why weren't they more so looking for creatures to eat rather than like their first option seemed to be like let's eat him instead of like finding alternatives that clearly existed in there.
Yeah, just, I don't think there's a sole bat. They live in colonies. So this idea that they found this one rare bat
Yeah,
was just goofy to me.
and people can survive months and months without food. So yeah, it might have been uncomfortable and it's not like, but I would probably sit there and starve way longer at least than what they did before even thinking about eating someone. You would think.
Well, these people, I guess they enjoy food. I don't know. They really couldn't handle it. So yeah, not a great lineup. But if you're the
No.
type to seek hidden meaning and metaphor in your films, then you might enjoy the second feature here. But that's about it.
Watch the first part though. That one was funny.
The
Skip
first
the
story?
No, sorry. Deadtime Stories Part 1 was amazingly funny.
Oh, watch the
that
first
one.
film, yes.
Yeah, just skip this one altogether and save yourself. Well, unless you might really like the second one, like he's talking about. To me, I wish I had just skipped it, but
Oh,
I'm sure a lot of people would like the second one, and even parts of the other ones are okay.
yeah, I think variety is great because it represents everyone. Everyone finds something they can like.
Hmm.
I guess we're greedy and we want stories all in the same vein so we can appreciate everything.
Yeah, we want it geared specifically toward our likes.
Yeah, but so yeah, give the first one a viewing, and the second one you can tread lightly.
You
See,
know what? Actually, I recommend watching this one first, then watch the other one. Then you might enjoy both. Because if I had seen this first, I think I might have liked it more than I did. But I was expecting it to be as funny as the other one, and it wasn't anywhere close.
yeah, that's true. And I like this one more than the first one.
Yeah, but do you think if we had watched this one first and then the other one that you would have thought the other one was funny and liked it, or do you think you would have had the same feeling afterwards?
I might have liked it actually. So yeah, I think you have something there.
Yeah, they just didn't do these in the correct order.
So that is our recommendation.
Yes.
Stay tuned for many more impressions of feature films that are found free across the web.
We do not pay not even a shilling to watch a film.
Sorting through the crap just for you.
Yes.
Well, that's a wrap.
Yes?
Yeah.
Can you say it with a little more enthusiasm? Well, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
How about a happy medium?
Well, that's a wrap.
I'm gonna put them all there because it's funny. No, I'm kidding.
What?
Well, that's a wrap.
That's
That's a wrap.
On